The IDUL Fitri celebration will last for 2 to 3 days, where on the morning of the first day of IDUL Fitri Muslims will perform the Eid prayer. At the same time, Muslims will congratulate each other on IDUL Fitri with a formal handshake and hug to share happiness and forgive each other for past mistakes. It doesn't stop there. In the homes there will also be sweet dishes and gifts which are often given to children and those in need. Muslims on the day of Fitri will forgive each other. These traditions will vary from country to country. In many countries with large Muslim populations, IDUL Fitri will be a national holiday. Schools and offices will be closed so that on holidays Muslims can gather with family, relatives, friends and neighbors around where they live. In the United States and Britain, Muslims can request time off from school and work so they can travel or celebrate with family and friends. In countries such as Egypt and Pakistan, Muslims decorate their homes with lanterns, twinkling lights, or flowers. Special food will also be served to entertain friends, neighbors and extended family who will be invited to gather together. In places like Jordan, with a predominantly Muslim population, several days before the IDUL Fitri holiday arrives they will hunt for gifts in local malls and Ramadan markets. They will prepare to exchange gifts during Eid. In Turkey and in places that were once part of the Ottoman Turkish Empire such as Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania, Azerbaijan and the Caucasus, it is also known as Lesser Bayram or festival in Turkish. IDUL Fitri marks the end of the fasting period of Ramadan and is often interpreted as a day of victory. Apart from reflection and joy, IDUL Fitri is also a time for charity, known as Zakat Fitra. IDUL Fitri is meant to be a time of joy and blessings for all Muslims and a time to share one's wealth with those who cannot afford to share in the happiness of the holiday. Unlike the meaning of the word Eid, which is influenced by culture, IDUL Fitri has a meaning that is closely related to the goals to be achieved from the obligation to fast. The purpose of fasting is to become a pious human being. Eid al-Fitr comes from two words, Id and al-Fitri. Id linguistically comes from the word Ada, Yaudu, which means return. The holiday is called Id because the holiday occurs repeatedly, celebrated every year, at the same time. Meanwhile, the word Fitri has two meanings, namely holy and breaking the fast. Holy means clean from all sins, mistakes, ugliness and evil. Meanwhile, Fitri, which means breaking the fast, is based on the hadith of Rasulullah from Anas bin Malik. Not once did the Prophet Muhammad go to pray on Eid without eating a few dates beforehand. After fasting for 1 month of Ramadan, Muslims celebrate IDUL Fitri. In Indonesia itself, one of the Islamic holidays is called Eid. Actually, there is no difference between the two. This term arises because of culture and language. However, this actually makes the meaning different. Interpreting IDUL Fitri. From the explanation of the meaning of IDUL Fitri above, it can be concluded that IDUL Fitri means the return of a person to a state of purity or freedom from all sins, mistakes, ugliness and vices so that they are in purity or fitra. This holiday is also a holiday of victory where Muslims celebrate by again breaking the fast or eating. That is why one of the sunnahs before performing the Eid prayer is to eat or drink even a little. This is to show that the IDUL Fitri one Shawwal holiday is a time for breaking the fast and it is haram to fast. Often, many people are lulled by the meaning of IDUL Fitri. Not a few people buy new clothes or items or prepare a lot of food. Indeed, there's nothing wrong with that. However, we as Muslims should not overdo it. However, too much of anything is not good. Therefore, it is important for us to take IDUL Fitri seriously. It's not about how much food we have on this holiday, but rather how much help we give to those who lack it. It's not about new and luxurious items or clothes, but rather how clean our hearts are to be willing to forgive others. For those of you who want to be able to share with people who are not as lucky as you on Eid, don't forget to set aside some. Therefore, IDUL Fitri can also be interpreted as a day of victory where Muslims happily celebrate by breaking the fast or eating. This is also what makes IDUL Fitri one of the days where fasting is prohibited. Apart from making IDUL Fitri a day of victory, a Muslim should use it to repair and purify himself from the sins he has committed. IDUL Fitri is a time to repair, forgive and reflect. Happy celebrating the Fitri Day. Let's use the momentum of this day of victory to become better people in obedience. The mass shaking hands tradition aims to forgive each other and strengthen ties of friendship. People line up and shake hands with each other. Apart from apologizing, residents also wished them a happy IDUL Fitri. The momentum of IDUL Fitri this year is freer than last year. The tradition of greeting relatives or neighbors can be carried out again. But this tradition has many advantages. The tradition of shaking hands is not only carried out within the family circle. In general society, greetings can extend to neighbors in the surrounding area. Apart from that, IDUL Fitri has many other advantages. The main priority is gratitude for being able to fast during the month of Ramadan. Then you are able to defeat your desires and try to reach back to a pure soul or fitra. The tradition of shaking hands by extending our hands to others, when IDUL Fitri arrives, seems to be an inseparable part. So what is the meaning and priority of the Islamic version of the symbol of peace for all mankind? The tradition of shaking hands has become part of the Prophet's life while spreading Islam. It is not surprising that many people or kings of a nation did not convert to Islam through war. By shaking hands, he said, someone has shown mutual love, forgiven each other, shown a sense of security, peace and affection. And conversely, someone who is reluctant and does not make a habit of shaking hands with their siblings will appear arrogant and selfish. There may be feelings of resentment, they are fighting, they don't want to get along. They are even hostile, he said. Second, the meaning and priority of shaking hands is as a symbol of forgiving each other and making each other lawful, or in other words halal by halal. The third meaning is of course an expression of commitment to look after each other, help each other and unite. In a hadith narrated by Al-Bara bin Azib from Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, it is stated that mushafaha or shaking hands can dissolve sins. If a Muslim meets, then says hello and shakes hands, Allah will forgive the sins of both people, until they part. Even in the history of Hudayfa bin al-Yaman, Rasulullah said, if a Muslim meets each other and says hello, then shakes hands, his sins will fall, like the dry leaves of a tree. So it would be a big loss if during this Eid moment there are still people who don't want to shake hands. Handshaking or shaking hands is a tradition carried out by Indonesian people during IDUL Fitri. This tradition is carried out with the aim of apologizing to family, relatives and neighbors for all the mistakes that have been made during the past year. Greetings are usually done in the morning when the holiday arrives. People will wear new clothes and gather in family homes or mosques to forgive each other. After apologizing to each other, it is usually followed by shaking hands and giving IDUL Fitri greetings containing the words, apologize physically and mentally, or Eid Mubarak. Apart from that, in the tradition of greetings, there is also the custom of giving money or small gifts to children as a form of IDUL Fitri greetings. Usually, children will stand in front of the adult giving the gift, and they will say, sorry inside and out, before accepting the gift. The tradition of shaking hands is very important in Indonesian culture because it symbolizes the values of togetherness, harmony and brotherhood between fellow humans. Through greetings, it is hoped that Indonesian people can strengthen ties and strengthen social relations between them. In Islam, forgiving each other and shaking hands on holidays is a recommended practice and has many rewards. This is mentioned in several hadiths, including from Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever finishes the Eid prayer and then shakes hands with his brother, he will return to the day he was born from his mother, clean from sin. H.R. Bukhari, From Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Indeed the angels gather on the day of Eid. They like to see people shaking hands with each other." H.R. Muslim. From these hadiths, it can be concluded that shaking hands during Eid has many rewards and advantages, such as 1. Erase the sins that have been committed previously. 2. Welcome the holiday with a clean and open heart. 3. Strengthen friendship between fellow Muslims. 4. Get the love and pleasure of Allah SWT. 5. Get the sympathy and joy of the angels. Therefore, as Muslims, we should always prioritize good morals by forgiving each other and shaking hands on IDUL Fitri and Eid al-Adha, as well as establishing harmonious and loving relationships with fellow Muslims. In the midst of the excitement of IDUL Fitri celebrations, the tradition of greetings is a very special moment for Indonesian people. More than just a series of rituals, greetings are a symbol of simplicity, warmth and togetherness in celebrating victory after undergoing the month of Ramadan full of worship. The tradition of greetings is a manifestation of Islamic values which encourage its followers to forgive each other and foster harmonious relationships. At this Eid moment, people hug each other, shake hands and apologize to each other as a form of celebration and closing of the blessed month of Ramadan. Greetings are not just a formal ritual, but also imply deep meaning. This is a moment to embrace, forgive and start a new chapter in social relationships. When someone apologizes to another person, it is a sign that he is opening the door to his heart to welcome that person back into a circle of love and peace. Not only within the family, the tradition of greetings also extends to the wider social environment. In mosques, traditional markets, or other public places, people shake hands with each other with sincerity and joy. This is a moment that reminds us of the importance of strengthening ties of brotherhood and building peace amidst diversity. In its true essence, the tradition of greetings on IDUL Fitri is a symbol of togetherness, peace and happiness in celebrating spiritual victory after undergoing the month of Ramadan. By forgiving and embracing each other, we strengthen strong bonds of brotherhood and strengthen the foundation of Islamic values in everyday life. Happy IDUL Fitri, let's welcome its arrival with a clean and loving heart. Apart from that, IDUL Fitri has many other advantages. The main priority is gratitude for being able to fast during the month of Ramadan. Then you are able to defeat your desires and try to reach back to a pure soul or fitra. Fitra is like humans being born without sin. To complete it, you need to do zakat according to the Big Indonesian Dictionary, KBBI. Halal Bihalal is defined as forgiveness after completing the Ramadan fast, usually held in a place, auditorium, hall, etc. by a group of people, which is a typical Indonesian custom. Meanwhile, in Arabic, Halal Bihalal comes from the word hala or halala, which has many meanings according to the context of the sentence, including solving problems, difficulties, straightening tangled threads, melting frozen ones, or untying ties that bind. There are a number of versions of the origin of the term halal bihalal. The term halal bihalal comes from the words halal bihalal. This word is included in the Javanese Dutch dictionary by Dr. Pigode 1938. In this dictionary, halal bihalal is defined as greeting, coming, going, to, forgive each other during Eid. The origin of the term halal bihalal comes from Indian martabak traders in Taman Sriwadari, Solo around 1935 to 1936. At that time, martabak was classified as a new food for Indonesian people. This martabak trader, assisted by his local assistants, then promotes his wares with the words, Malabar martabak, halal bin halal, halal bin halal. Since then, the term halal bihalal has become popular in Solo society. Halal bihalal activities then developed into a gathering event to forgive each other during Eid. In addition, in 1948 Abdul Wahab Hasbullah, who was a cleric who founded Nahdlatul Ulama, introduced the term Halal Bihalal to Bung Karno as a form of friendship between political leaders who at that time were still in conflict. On the advice of K.H. Wow, on IDUL Fitri in 1948, Bung Karno invited all political figures to come to the state palace to attend a gathering entitled Halal Bihalal. The political figures finally sat at one table. They began to develop national strength and unity in the future. Since then, various government agencies during Bung Karno's reign have implemented Halal Bihalal. Halal Bihalal was then widely followed by the Indonesian people, especially the Muslim community in Java as followers of the ulama. Until now, Halal Bihalal has become a tradition in Indonesia. A tradition similar to Halal Bihalal is believed to have existed since the time of Mangkunegara I, or known as Prince Sambnyawa. At that time, to save time, energy, thoughts and costs, after IDUL Fitri prayers, Prince Sambnyawa held a meeting between the king and his courtiers and soldiers simultaneously in the palace hall. At this meeting, the tradition of Sungkem, or mutual forgiveness, was held. All the courtiers and soldiers orderly performed Sungkem to the king and empress. What Prince Sambnyawa did was then imitated by Islamic organizations with the term Halal Bihalal. Among the many unique features of Eid in Indonesia is the tradition of sharing. Almost every house and family always provides a variety of snacks to receive guests and friends who are going to stay in touch and have Halal Bihalal. Typical snacks always decorate every home and are served in their own unique way. Arranged neatly on the table, with various jars and household knickknacks, not to mention home decorations that are made to be new or refurbished to complement the homeowner's incomparable hospitality during Eid. In villages, especially in Java that I know, a common sight during Eid is people going back and forth from house to house while carrying food in various containers, according to the prevailing traditions. Young and old, men and women, adults and children, couple or single, each family member of the extended family visits each other's home. The young visit the older. Friends gather at the main house of the elder family. Banquet together. Sharing food, exchanging luggage, providing the best food. Share the best you have. The tradition of sharing can also be seen in the habit of every head of household, whatever the conditions, even in villages and remote areas, trying to set aside little money to give to the children who come to his house. This atmosphere is most awaited by children who cheerfully wear new clothes and innocently go door to door hoping for envelopes. In fact, the most enjoyable and memorable atmosphere for children is receiving Eid red packets from every house they visit. Once again, the teachings of giving alms, charity in Islamic teachings have been transformed into giving away small money as a sign of happiness for children, whoever they are and regardless of family background. Eid is a moment of sharing but also a celebration of closeness, kinship, togetherness and the most sacred hospitality, and naturally shows authenticity. The authenticity of the Indonesian way of life. A cultural rarity that repeats itself every year, but is timeless. Traditional traditions. A noble culture inspired by noble religious values. Culture that absorbs religion, or traditional religious values. Gathering and musafaha, shaking hands, have become part of the culture of greetings from house to house, in public spaces, even in cyberspace with social media facilities. Friendship, forgiveness and shaking hands are religious teachings. Visiting, Anjangsana, and Halal Bihalal are typical Indonesian cultural products. Eid brings together religious values and teachings in a culture of sincere forgiveness between citizens, between families, and between each other beyond belief. Everyone willingly apologizes and forgives. Give and share. There were only bright, cheerful and happy faces. A sincere heart. The attitude is as it is and not made up, far from the intention of imaging. It all happened during Eid. I can say that Eid, the typical Indonesian culture of celebrating the victory day of IDUL Fitri, which is second to none in the world, has become a meeting space and cultural space that is full of values. Eid brings together sacred teachings and profane culture. between Ashili and Furi, the universal and the particular, the Kulliyat and Juz'iyat. Eid exemplifies religious values that are integrated into culture. Culture is the ground for cultivating religious values. Therefore, religion and culture in Indonesia do not conflict with each other. In fact, they themselves need each other. Religion needs a cultural platform to be accepted and reach its adherents. Culture becomes a space for the actualization of religious values.